Great.
Hi, I'm Trish Chisholm and I've been working in education in the Northern Territory here for about 20 years. I call myself a bit of a town girl, which is sort of self-explanatory. However, I've lived about 10 years, from about 10 years of age and much into my working life on many remote communities in the Northern Territory, throughout the Northern Territory. And indeed my inspiration to become a teacher in the first place was to give back to those communities that, you know, I felt I've got so much from. Today I'm going to be talking to you about why I think it's important that Indigenous teachers are teaching Indigenous kids, and a little bit of the context for those Indigenous adults who might want to complete teacher training. When considering teacher education and what the professional teacher would look like in the future, and if one's really serious about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students' outcomes, then we have to ensure that in every opportunity we include Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander adults into the formula. And that's what I'm going to be talking about with you today. There have been many debates throughout the years, and I know that many of those people who I respect immensely say that it doesn't really matter if the teacher is not Indigenous. And I also know that there are lots of fantastic, non-Indigenous teachers teaching our kids, and that's just the way it is. But I believe that Indigenous teachers and those teachers who are particularly from the same community as the children that they teach are the ones who are better able to make the links between the Indigenous and the Western systems, Western education systems, and they're able to make those links about worldview and all of those things that only Indigenous people can know about. For example, last week, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Yirrkala as was visiting there, and was privileged enough to sit in a lesson, one of the language of culture lessons, and the whole entire class was in Yungamata, and in the class there were elders from the community had been asked to come in, and the students and the elders were writing a letter to the Prime Minister to tell the Prime Minister what had been so special for them about the 50-year celebration of the Bark petition that their elders had taken to Canberra all those years ago. Finding a way to make the link between what children already know and learning something new is what teaching is all about. And it comes much more easily and a bit more automatically from someone of the same cultural group as the student. Teacher education must aim to create the best possible teachers to facilitate learning for all of those potential students, and the best possible teachers for Indigenous students are Indigenous adults. An understanding of where those adults and who would want to study to become teachers will help inform all of us involved in teacher education about the type of programs that are needed. So that's what I'd like to talk to you about now. And these are my views, what I believe are important things to consider for that group of Indigenous people who might want to become teachers. Okay, you need to consider that these adults come into teaching because they want to make a difference. They've seen and they believe that they can do a better job, and over the years I've conducted many interviews that sort of prove that the reason for them being there is that they want to make a difference. So probably about a third of the people that I've ever interviewed, when asked for the reason why they want to become a teacher, they say they believe they can do a better job than the teachers that they've had teaching them. In remote communities, the typical local teacher is one who started as an assistant teacher Often they've gone off, had their children, had their family, and then they've come back to work in their late 20s and 30s. You know, so their learning journey and their pathway in education is a really long one. So they have lots of skills in their, practical skills of how to operate in a classroom, but they don't have that, the theoretical stuff. So don't dumb it down for them, but make those links. Often the people who've gone back into, often these are adults who have chosen to go back into an educational environment themselves to keep their skills up. They want to be there because they've enjoyed school, and they may not have completed year 12, but they want to be in the school to keep upskilling. Often they're people that have already worked in schools for a number of years, either as tutors or ISAs, hourly paid people, or assistant teachers. These adults are often adults from areas where they don't feel comfortable about going away from their community for any length of time as well. Most of the time they are really probably one of the most competent people in their community. So they're often, because they're very literate and orally their English is really good, they often lead the way and guide others into use of English within their own communities. And the last thing that I'd like to mention about these people, these Indigenous adults, are that they are usually culturally very strong, and that has implications as to why they might not like to go travelling. They have to keep an eye on that cultural stuff as well. Finally, thanks for listening. We've got no choice, I suppose, but I just can't stress enough the fact that we cannot waste any more precious time forgetting about the most significant group of people in the lives of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, and that is the adults. Those adults, they need and they want productive and accessible teacher education programs. So please work hard to keep them in the foremost of your mind when you're doing your planning about teacher education pathways. Thank you.